EC calls on stakeholders to bolster its efforts for acceptable voters register.
India pushes for deeper cooperation with African continent.
Progressive People's Party (PPP) holds convention tomorrow.
And millions of Nigerians likely to lose electronic access to their bank accounts.
A very good evening to you. Many thanks for joining us here on GBC24 and also on GTV. This is News Hour. My name is Abdul Hai Momin.
And I am Shirley and Robert Frimpong Mansell is our signer for tonight.
In our very first news item is day 2 of the Electoral Commission's Stakeholders Forum on the issue of the biometric voters register. On Friday in Accra, the team received more submissions, still with divided opinion.
The chairman of the Electoral Commission, Mrs. Charlotte Osei, says the EC on its own cannot clean the register and called on all stakeholders to cooperate to ensure a credible and acceptable register within the limited time frame for 2016. On day 2, submissions came from the 8 other political parties, including the Eagle Party, Ghana's Freedom Party, Yes People's Party, National Reform Party, and the Great Consolidated Popular Party. While some did not agree with the assertion that their register is bloated, others suggested ways to clean it up.
I ask all of us and all the political parties and the panelists, which one is easier? For me to just put my fingers on the machine and popping up who I am and somebody saying that yes, it is true that it is you ticking, and rather going to say that we need a new one, so I'm Jacob Osei, key it in, and the person can even make a mistake.
Anybody who thinks that somebody's name should not be in the register, that person can challenge that voter and present it to the district level, for which there will be a committee that will look at it. And if it happens that your evidence is true, then it means that person's name can be removed from the register.
Pollster Benefson suggested that the 2 major political parties should play a major role in cleaning up the register. He said a call for a new register should only be made after all efforts to make the register credible fails.
I'm sure everybody agrees that if after various ways of auditing, using the MPP method or using the NDC method, we cannot clean it to acceptable levels, everybody will opt for a new register, because there's no guarantee that if we get a new register, more people of under 18-year-olds will not be registered.
EC boss Mrs. Charlotte Osei admitted that the current register is not 100% perfect, but was quick to add that no system is perfect. She said that suggestions from some quarters to clean the register comes with challenges, and the EC will rely on the support of all political parties and individuals to produce a transparent, workable and credible register.
Ghana probably has the most inclusive process for creating a register. How can such an inclusive process bring results that parties say are so flawed and require change every 4 years? Surely, we may have to think, is the problem with the technology, with the EC, or with the people themselves? Are we the problem? If the people and the stakeholders do not want a credible process, we cannot have a credible register just by putting money into it. We must all get involved and want the same thing for us to arrive at the same destination. It's also important that we enforce sanctions against offenders. Otherwise, it's going to be repetitive. And so we find minors, we find multiple registration. This legal system must also support us to make sure that offenders are sanctioned. If we sanction a few minors and their parents, then we can be sure that at least we've taken steps to deter other minors and their parents the next time we open the register. And of course, in all this, public education is key. We call on all stakeholders to work with us, but as an election management body, we are totally committed to having a credible register, whether new, whether clean, whether through surgery. And we think that if we do that together, we can all have a credible electoral process come 2016.
In the interest of the nation, all recommendations made at the two-day forum are expected to address concerns of all political parties and individuals. Many hope that when the dust settles on the matter, Ghanaians will have a credible register for the 2016 elections. The Progressive People's Party will hold its second national convention at the Nat Hall in the Western Regional Capital, Takoradi, tomorrow, the 1st of October 2015. Dr. Papa Kwesi Indum formed the Progressive People's Party in 2012 as an alternative political movement to capture power from ruling National Democratic Congress. About 2,000 delegates, 5 from each of the 275 constituencies across the country, are expected to elect their national executives during this convention.
Awake, it's its slogan, and prosperity in peace, its motto. With a full glowing red sun on a white background as its emblem, the Progressive People's Party has red and white as its colors. Dr. Papa Kwesi Indum, after his exit from the Convention People's Party CPP as the party's 2008 presidential candidate, formed the party in 2012 after a declaration on 28 December 2011. The interim leadership of the Progressive Movement began a nationwide campaign to recruit members to form regional and constituency executives. In January 2012, the party submitted its application to the Electoral Commission for registration in accordance with the Political Parties Act. The party received its provisional certificate on Friday, 3rd February 2012. The final certificate was received on Thursday, 15th March 2012. The PPP became the 17th registered political party in the books of the EC. The party held its first national convention on February 25, 2012 at the Accra Sports Stadium. Elected national officers of the party include Dr. Ni Alotebru Hammond, Chairman, Mrs. Mary Ankuma Boachi-Boateng, First Vice Chairperson, Alhaji IBM Seidu, Second Vice Chairperson, Mr. Kofi Asamoah Siao, Secretary, Mr. Paako Akon, Deputy Secretary, Ms. Belinda Bule, Women Coordinator, Mr. Divine Nkrumah, Youth Coordinator, Mr. Felix Ogra, Treasurer, Nano Furio Usu, Director of Operations, Mrs. Victoria Aligbo, Director of Research, Mr. Richmond Kilson, Director of Communication. The PPP went into 2012 elections with Dr. Papa Kwesi Indum as the flag bearer and Ms. Eva Loko as the running mate. The Progressive People's Party managed to pool 64,267 popular votes in the 2012 general elections, making it the third largest political party and the second largest opposition party in Ghana. The National Committee of the PPP will hold its 2015 National Convention on Saturday, 31st October 2015 at Takoradi in the Western Region with the theme Strategize to Form Government in 2016.
Ours is a convention, and for this 31st October, what we are going to be doing is we're going to unveil our national executives. We have gone through all the process. We've elected our constituency, we've done our regional executives, and with the national, and we've done internal processes. And so what really we are going to be doing on Saturday is we're going to unveil who our national executives are. The Electoral Commission is going to be there, definitely. We have been obeying the laws for all political parties, so we've spoken to them, and they understand the form in which this is going to take, because ours is a bit different.
The climax of the PPP's National Convention will be the election of constituency, regional and national officers. The convention will approve the party's platform for the 2016 elections. Meanwhile, constituency branches of the party have begun parliamentary primaries to elect candidates for the 2016 elections. The National Convention will, among other things, announce the modalities for the election of the 2016 presidential candidate of the party in November 2015. Right after the 2012 elections, the PPP continued with the recruitment of members with the ultimate objective of forming government in 2016. PPP has been active and makes its voice heard on many important subjects of national interest and doing everything possible to remain relevant in Ghanaian contemporary politics. It has added its voice to calls for a new voters' register.
We have been calling for electoral reforms, and we believe that if you want to implement the good things that we have been proposing, of course, then it means that you're also going to start a voters' register. But the reality is the voters' register is bloated, okay? And so it's for some of our members who, if you understand the issues at hand, and you know that this is what we are calling for, and it means that the voters' register is going to be touched. Somebody is saying, okay, let's change the voters' register. Then it's like it falls in line a bit with what you're saying, so you tend to support it.
The progressives say they are guided by an agenda for change, which is built on 4 pillars: stewardship, education, healthcare, and jobs. But whether this agenda will be accepted by Ghanaians, the 2016 elections will be the test case.
Head of the PPP's convention tomorrow, GBC24's correspondent Maurice Ogbete is on the line to give us an update. Hello, good evening, Maurice. Okay, Maurice. Yes, would you move away from your TV set? We have a little feedback in the studio, then we can talk, please.
Well, Abdul, I'm not close to any TV set at the moment.
Right, let's continue then. To start with, where exactly are you now, Maurice?
Well, I just returned from the Nat Hall somewhere around Efijai in the Western region, specifically at Takrady, where the Progressive People's Party will be having their National Delegates Convention. Now, they choose to call it a National Delegates Convention because, according to them, they have elected their national executives already. Unlike other political parties that will elect national executives on the day of the Congress, they have their national delegates already. So as I speak to you, the PPP has a new national chairman, the PPP has a new national women's coordinator, the PPP has a new national youth coordinator. Just that we would like to keep the name under wraps for now. And tomorrow, when the event is done, then we'll get to know exactly who the new national executives of the PPP are.
Just Maurice, yes, just for a little clarification. So where, when, and how were these new national officers elected or selected?
They did the whole process in Accra. They did the process in Accra. They got their party members, card-bearing party members, to come and vote for who they want as their national chairman, who they want as their national youth coordinator. And so that has been done already. As I speak to you, they have their national executives. Tomorrow, in the presence of the Electoral Commission, they're just going to unveil them, or they're just going to make them known to the public. And so in all, we are expecting about 1,000 delegates. The program is not expected to be too long. Later on in the program, they'll just be telling us their policies as a PPP and what they want Ghanaians to know and why they feel that Ghanaians must vote for them come 2016.
Right. Maurice, again, with congresses of this nature, a day before that congress, you would find the host city replete with banners and posters of the competing candidates. So in this case, as people are not competing, do we still have that certain atmosphere in Takrady?
Well, the atmosphere here is a very calm one. You can't see much of competition in the air. It's a very small space where they're going to do the Congress. It's not too much of a big event, I can say. And they are now putting the place together and they are now getting the place ready. And so the atmosphere is not one of, competition, Abdul.
But again, have you seen anybody that you can point a finger at and say, yes, this is one of the delegates, so to speak?
Not yet, but I hear that earlier in the day, Dr. Papakwesi Ndum was at the party office to do some inauguration. I think he went to inaugurate the office. And so I can say that Dr. Papakwesi Ndum is in town, but I've not seen him personally. When I went to the conference hall, I saw a couple of people around. The place is not too busy at the moment. I hope that everything will start tomorrow and the PPP will have their national delegate convention, as I told you earlier on.
All right, Morris, we'll leave you to go to bed early because you have a very busy day coming up tomorrow. You have a good night, and thanks very much for your report right there. We've been speaking with correspondent who is in Takoradi to bring us all the updates from the PPP's convention. He indicates that already they have chosen their national officers who will be unveiled tomorrow. In other news, India Prime Minister Narendra Modi turned on the charm for African leaders, promising to deepen cooperation with the continent. Africa is a battleground not in terms of neo-colonialism, but in terms of trade and investment. India seeks to counter Chinese influence in the region, and one of the platforms of engagement is the India-Africa Forum Summit held in New Delhi.
Representatives of 54 African countries, including 41 heads of state or government, attended the third India-Africa Forum Summit in New Delhi. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi said much as his country uses this platform to reinvigorate historical ties with Africa, that should also be a basis for one voice in the push for reforms in the UN.
Today, it is not just a meeting of India and Africa. Today, the dreams of 1/3 of humanity have come together under the one roof. Today, the heartbeat of 1.25 billion Indians and 1.25 billion Africans are in rhythm. We are among the world's oldest civilizations. We are each a vibrant mosaic of languages, religions, and cultures.
President John Mahama was one of the African leaders who spoke at the forum.
Those who spoke before me have eloquently testified to the warm and generous hospitality of our hosts, the superb organization, as well as the excellent facilities that have been placed at our disposal. I'd like to join my colleague heads of state in expressing Ghana's profound appreciation to the government and people of India for all that they have invested in making this third India-Africa Forum Summit a resounding success. I'm hopeful that our meeting here in Delhi will not only be a unique and memorable experience, but will further strengthen our shared commitment to the creation of a truly peaceful and secure world on a solid foundation of freedom, justice, and prosperity for all. The strategic partnership between India and Africa must therefore be seen as part of our shared heritage of struggling against foreign domination and an unshakable determination to uphold the dignity of our people.
The documented story of Africa today is what has often been told by foreigners. However, Colonel Dr. Kotia, a serving officer in the Ghana Army, breaks away from the norm with his own version on how Ghana conducted peacekeeping duties. In his book titled Ghana Armed Forces in the Lebanon and Liberia Peace Operations, he tells the story from a pure Ghanaian perspective. The book is recognized by top institutions of academia and was launched by Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur in Accra.
It's 13 years now since the United Nations restored peace for the second time to the war-torn country Liberia and helped to stabilize Lebanon, which suffers intermittent violence. Ghana's participation as a consistent and one of the largest contributor of troops to the UN peacekeeping team motivated the author to write this book. The 240-page book highlights the role, challenges, achievements and experiences of the United Nations peacekeeping forces during the Liberian and Lebanon wars. The author, Colonel Dr. Emmanuel Werkim Kotia, who took part in peacekeeping duties in both theaters of war, indicated that but for the active involvement of the ECOMOG, the peacekeeping wing of ECOWAS in Liberia, the UN could not have succeeded to broker any peace deal. For Lebanon, the book explained how politics, bureaucracy and the involvement of external forces fueled the already volatile situation. From the author's point of view, strategies and approaches used for peacekeeping operations in Africa and other parts of the world must be the same. The commandant of the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, Major General Obi Akwa, said the book will serve as a good reference for the center and the Ghana Armed Forces. The author, Colonel Dr. Emmanuel Werkim Kotia, said Ghana must draw lessons from the two countries to avoid any pitfalls in the future.
The rationale for writing this book was based on three main broad themes. First, to identify and analyze the specific roles that troop contributing countries in peace operations organized by the United Nations and regional organizations. The second is to subject Ghana's contribution in peace operations to empirical study. Third is to highlight and bring forth Ghana's experience in peace operations for academic study and discourse based on comparative analysis.
Vice President Kwesi Misa-Arthur commended the author for his insight. He said the book is a trailblazer that tells the story from a Ghanaian perspective.
Our national legacy must be in everlasting text, not in the transient word. Because in chronicling history, the oral tradition has not served us as well as the written tradition in other societies. Because as we pass on the oral tradition from generation to generation, the subjectivity of the people who pass it on will very well lead to distortions and misrepresentations of the history. So the written word is timeless. The authentic telling of our story must be done by ourselves, not by outsiders.
10 of the books were auctioned, with the first valued at 10,000 Ghana cedis. The University of Bedfordshire, USA, the Ghana Armed Forces College, and other institutions have already adopted or incorporated the book into their academic syllabus.
In other news, traders in Techiman in the Bunahafo region are complaining about the ever-increasing transport fares for farm produce and other goods via the main link road from Tenabia, Mangwasi through Esueyi. The traders say this is because of the deplorable nature of the roads in the area and are therefore calling on the powers that be to, as a matter of urgency, rehabilitate the road to reduce the financial burden.
Farmers, traders and school children from neighboring towns use this route to Techiman, one of Bonoahafo's busiest trading centers. Also, dealers in various produce and goods from sister country Niger use this stretch to both the Kintampo market and Techiman Central Market for business. GBC24 found out from sources in the community that the nature of the road has negatively affected development in the area. Speaking off camera, they said efforts by their opinion leaders to get the authorities to rehabilitate the road has proved futile. Over the years, they say the norm has been that the youth mobilize themselves periodically to put the road in manageable shape for use. He says the Olim Bridge in the middle of the road, if not refurbished, is likely to cause carnage.
If government could help reconstruct this road, it would help increase income for traders by cutting down post-harvest losses.
Esui is a predominantly farming community where tuber crops are mostly cultivated. In addition, settlers in the area cultivate cash crops, including cocoa, tiger nuts, and vegetables. Esui supplies almost 90% of the total quantity of gari sold on the Techiman market. Like other developing areas in the region, Esui lacks potable water, educational infrastructure, health facilities, and recreational centers.
The pork show has been revived again. In this light, a 3-day event to showcase the various forms that pork can be processed and served is underway in Accra. Health experts advise that pork is one of the safest meats with less cholesterol compared to other livestock to consume.
The last time a pork show was held in the country was in 1986. The Greater Accra region is playing host to a revived pork show, which organizers hope to replicate in the 9 other regions. The pork show brought together stakeholders in the piggery industry to deliberate more on ways to promote pork. In this regard, pork is being highlighted as a healthy meat. Some caterers at the event also demonstrated the various forms that pork can be served. On display was fried pork, grilled pork, roasted pork, and pork kebab. Many people now prefer pork to the other livestock products because of its high protein content. The Greater Accra Regional Minister, Nilaye Afote Agbo, is delighted about the return of the pork show, saying it will be for fun and for health.
This is a program that if we promote it and embrace it, it's going to create some kind of employment for us. If you eat too much goat meat or cow meat, you know you are going to get gout because of the uric acid in it. But the pork, no matter what the quantity that you eat, there's no danger.
The regional livestock specialist, Mr. Sidney Saul Metal, called on government to give the pig industry the necessary support because it is a lucrative venture.
Since pig, is grow faster and prolific in terms of production, we thought it wise to do this, to bring all actors within the pig value chain so that we can further develop it to enhance national development.
The 3-day pork show is under the theme Pig Business, harmonizing the potentials in the industry.
You're watching News Hour on GBC24 and GTV will bring you business after this break.
Good evening by courtesy of EcoBank, Hisense and Airtel. Let's have the business news. My name is Esther Edu. The Minister for Power, Dr. Kwabena Donkor, has cut short for work to begin on a new 396 MVA substation in Dawa in the Ningo Pram District Assembly. The first phase of the project, which will be completed in the next 12 months, is expected to generate 132 MVA and is estimated to cost $80 million.
The 396 MVA power substation in Dawa is among the many interventions a government is putting in place to end the energy crisis in the country. The project, which is being funded by the Enclave Power Company, gives credence to government's preparedness to partner with the private sector to improve the power situation. The $80 million substation is the second major infrastructure investment being carried out by the Enclave Power Company. The new power substation, which is on a 3,000-acre industrial park in Dawa, is expected to provide electricity from next year to the mixed industrial and residential park, apart from increasing the energy supply of the country. The director responsible for power at the Enclave Power Company, Mr. Ernest Owusu Afari, said they are happy to be contributing solutions to the energy crisis in the country. He mentioned that with the high demand of power, there is the need for a collaborative effort to get out of the power crisis.
Enclave Power Company has experienced rapid growth in demand from its customers, growing from 48 gigawatt hours in 2013 to over 82 gigawatt hours in 2014. Honorable Minister, further growth is anticipated in the coming years, with annual demand forecast to exceed 250 gigawatt hours in 2016 and 350 gigawatt hours by 2020. In line with this projected growth, Enclave Power Company has been investing very heavily in expanding its distribution infrastructure.
The Minister for Power, Dr. Kwabena Donkor, commending the private partnership with government, enumerated a number of projects underway to end the power crisis by the end of the year.
As we speak, equipment
has arrived on our coast for the 250 megawatt Ameri energy plant at Abuaze. Civil works are about 90% complete. Again, as we speak, work is proceeding on the first phase of 180 megawatt Sonon Asogli expansion, and COT should be December this year. Again, as we speak, work on the 220 Cone thermal plant is almost complete, and first fire for the first unit should be in November this year. Work will continue to be done to meet especially the 12% annual growth in electricity demand.
When fully completed, the Dawan Bulk Supply Substation will be the largest substation in Ghana.
Amansia West Rural Bank in the Ashanti region made a pre-tax profit of more than 1.1 million Ghana cedis for the 2014 financial year. This figure was lower than that recorded in 2013. This came to light at the bank shareholders meeting held at Antwerp Chrome in the Amansia West district.
The Amansia West Rural Bank is known for brisk business in the Ashanti region. At its just under 30th annual general meeting, the bank's stated capital showed an increase of 100,521 Ghana cedis. That is 11.6% from 862,000 Ghana cedis in 2013 to 963,000 in 2014. Loans and advances increased from 11,315,000 Ghana cedis in 2013 to 12,786,000 Ghana cedis in 2014 financial year. During the year under review, Amansia West Rural Bank spent a total of 81,435 Ghana cedis to fulfill its corporate social responsibility to support socio-economic activities within the community in which it operates and beyond. The board chairman of the bank, Mr. Isaac Ochre-Entry, speaks on the way forward for the bank.
Considering the above and the bank's resolve to operate efficiently and profitably, it shall vigorously pursue the underlisted measures, intensify on deposit and share mobilization campaigns, provide more quality customer service.
The bank received a gold award at the 12th Ashanti Financial Excellence Awards ceremony in Kumasi this year under the auspices of the Manshia Palace. This recognizes its contribution towards the development of the region through rural banking. An official of the ARB Apex Bank, Mr. George Kweku Ano, said the Board of Rural and Community Banks has a responsibility to initiate organizational and operational transformation. He therefore advised the Board of Amansia West Rural Bank to put in place pragmatic programs and policies to sustain the bank.
To minimize risk, there is the need for effective risk management policies. I therefore advise that the Board of Directors of our various RCBs should institute risk management policy to identify, number one, assess, monitor, and control risk in our rural banks.
The president of the National Council of the Association of Rural Banks, Dr. Philip Yao Anoche, entreated shareholders to increase their shareholding to raise the bank's capital to 1 million cedis by the end of 2017. He explained that the Bank of Ghana has drawn up a roadmap for rural and community banks to raise their capital to 1 million Ghana cedis from the current 300 Ghana cedis. 10 of its employees were honored for their services over the years.
And that was business. Most grateful for your time.
You're welcome to the health segment. A lecturer at the University of Cape Coast Medical School, Dr. Kwesi Ayamfo, says current research conducted into breast cancer revealed that Africans get the disease in their early 30s, much earlier than Europeans, Americans, or Asians. Dr. Ayamfo made the revelation to GBC24 after a breast cancer awareness campaign. The event saw students from about 11 senior high schools in the region and the general public screened and counseled about the disease in Cape Coast.
Every October is a Breast Cancer Awareness Month, also referred to as the Pink Month. Awareness creation about the disease is intensified. This is the third breast screening exercise to have been organized by the University of Cape Coast School of Medical Science and its partners. The Ogwa Breast Cancer Awareness Campaign was themed, Be Aware, Get Screened for Breast Cancer. The focus for this month's campaign is young people. Hundreds of school children from the senior high schools, tertiary institutions and the general public were given attention by medical personnel. According to Dr. Kwesi Ayamfo of the University of Cape Coast School of Medical Science, anyone stands at a risk of having cancer, but what makes the disease dangerous in Africa is that it's more aggressive on the continent, a situation worsened by late report of cases by Africans.
We volunteer the Madam organization just to help augment activities for the month. This week, I have a series of programs, radio, TV talk shows, Yama lecture on breast cancer awareness. Is screening of food to Joda Bepimende. Besabia will know. Now, breast cancer, Otumi Besabia. Nti be sena bonu fuda I was agide afibiara eko nwo check onu fuma.
A 45-year-old trader, Gladys Com, suffers from a hole in heart condition. Gladys urgently needs the cedi equivalent of $12,000 to enable her undergo surgery to correct her deformity. She is therefore appealing to the public for financial support to regain her health.
Gladys Com was born with a hole in heart condition which affected her breathing especially. As the years wore on, her condition, known as arterial septal defect, deteriorated. Gladys is therefore unable to work properly or perform any other task. She relies on the benevolence of friends and family for her daily sustenance. Gladys is therefore appealing to the public to help her with the cedi equivalent of $12,000 for an open heart surgery to save her life.
I am suffering. I cannot breathe and walk properly. Please help me to have my life back.
Contributions can be sent to the following account details: Ghana Commercial Bank, account name Beatrice Kwashi, account number 21610100040603, branch in Sawam, or contact 0573 624972.
And in news from elsewhere, millions of Nigerians could lose electronic access to their bank accounts as a deadline for compulsory biometric registration expires shortly. Nigeria's central bank said non-registered customers would lose all the benefits attached to online banking until they register. The exercise is aimed at reducing fraud in the country's banking sector. Huge sums are allegedly stolen from Nigerian banks as a result of either forgeries or illegal withdrawals. The bank has also set up centers in Europe and America to allow Nigerians in the diaspora to register. Elsewhere, 6 people have been arrested in southeastern Nigeria for allegedly selling a 2-week-old baby. Police in Cross River State said those arrested included the baby's mother, who said extreme poverty forced her to sell her child for around $90. Sports is next. And in sports, ex-president John Ejekun Kufuor has praised members of Ghana's 1965 AFCON winning squad, and he pledged to be present at the memorial match to mark the Golden Jubilee celebrations of their feat.
November 21 this year is exactly 50 years since Ghana won her second Africa Cup of Nations trophy. That was in 1965. The feat was the Stars' back-to-back triumph after winning the 1963 edition 2 years before. Ghana beat host Tunisia by 3-2 to raise the Black Star higher. 50 years on, and out of the 18-man squad that represented Ghana at the competition, only 11 are alive. To pat them on the back, Golden Jubilee celebrations are in place. As part of activities, some members of the playing team, including Reverend Osei Kofi, Reverend Kofi Pare, John Bote Nahu, Ni Dodu Ankara, and Wilberforce Infum, have paid a courtesy call on ex-president John Ejekun Kufuor. President Kufuor used the occasion to eulogize the team.
I'm so elated that these old stars should pay a visit to me today to announce the 50th anniversary celebration of their winning the Africa Cup for Ghana. They all took part, played, for they were stars, played for Ghana then. I want to observe that in their day, they shone like real stars. Unfortunately, in those days, they didn't play for money. Suppose they were playing now, all of them would be hard currency millionaires. But as we see them now, I would be surprised to know if any of them is rich. I doubt it. So this should be an occasion for our nation and football lovers generally to rally and put together something to back them, to enable them celebrate that the anniversary that is coming in December.
Organizers say all is set for a befitting match.
We are more than ready. It's going to be a whole day of events. Some actors have indicated their readiness to be part of it. Akrobotu, Nanama McBrown, and the actors in Accra. They would want to play the Despite Group as a curtain raiser. Kumasi Asante Kotoko have given us a letter to the effect that they are ever ready to come. Prince Polly, Opokunti, Stanley Abora, and Isaac Kasari are coming from Belgium to be part.
A fundraising dinner will be organized on December 3rd, and a football competition between the Senegal 92 squad, led by Maestro Abedi Pele, and Kumasi Asante Kotoko, played in their honor.
Next, we'll bring you entertainment.
And now to entertainment. Veteran actor Reverend Eddie Kofi has passed away. He died in the early hours of Friday, October 30. Reverend Kofi was the president of the Ghana Actors Guild. He was elected to that position in October 2014. He took over from the longtime president and a veteran actor, Neo Dwe-Mensah. According to the source, Reverend Eddie Kofi has been ill for quite some time now. Details of his death is not yet known.
Before we go, a quick reminder of the stories that made headlines in this edition. And the Electoral Commission has called on all stakeholders to partner them for acceptable voters register ahead of the 2016 polls. According to the Electoral Commissioner, Mrs. Charlotte Osei, the EC needs all hands on deck in the quest to update the voters register.
India has promised a deeper cooperation with the African continent. The country's Prime Minister Narendra Modi gave the assurance at a special platform, the India-Africa Forum Summit, held in New Delhi. President Mahama was among 41 African leaders who attended the event.
The Progressive People's Party, PPP, will be holding its national convention tomorrow. Over 2,000 delegates are participating. 5 each from the 275 constituencies nationwide will converge on the port city Takoradi to unveil their national executives to lead the party's campaign in 2016.
And millions of Nigerians could lose electronic access to their bank accounts as a deadline for a compulsory biometric registration expires shortly. The exercise is aimed at reducing fraud in the country's banking sector.
And if you missed any news item, 10:30, it's time to catch us again.
Good evening.